ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed. No more fast days.
Here we go. Yes, that's right. You hear that music, you know we are going live, y'all. That's right. Here we go. It's mellow today. We're going to start mellow. I need to come on because it's time to go, y'all. Wake up.
Yeah.
I love this song.
Baby, they'll listen to what you have to say. They're the ones who's coming up, and the world is in their hands. When you teach the children, teach us the very best you can.
Okay, even though if you don't know this song, I'll tell you, here's the hook. The world don't get no better.
Okay.
The world don't get no better
If we just let it be.
if we just let it be. Na, 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 na. The world won't get no better.
We gotta change it.
Gotta change
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Just you and me. Just you and me. Yes, yes, I know. I know. Okay. My audience is a little excited.
Love it.
Guys, it is all good. Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome from the north, south, east, west, and all the rest, guys. We, let me time out real quick. I know I can't expect to know what state of mind everybody that signs on to these lives are in. But here's what my intent is for those of you who are confused about why I do what I do. It is to inspire, motivate, encourage, and educate you, or maybe even, watch this, transformate you depending on where you're at in your life.
Like it.
Don't know, but this might be. Guys, I'm super excited to come at you guys today. This is MrMakeItGreat.com saying, hey, we only get one shot at this life thing. Let's not make it good. Let's make it absolutely great. And in speaking with that, I have someone here with me today. I've known her for, been going to Olive Nose for 22 years.
There you go.
So
22
I know I don't
years.
have you beat.
Oh, no, we've been there for 40.
She was, okay,
Yeah.
she was 10.
That's
And so I've known her probably that whole time because I've been going there about the 22 years. This is a special, let me drum roll her. She's drum roll. And drum roll. This gal is often imitated, but never quite duplicated. She is first submitted, but absolutely second to none in more ways than one. She's got some zip in her hip, some slide in her glide, and I got her over here right by my side. Guys, get ready to applaud like you going crazy. Her name is Jan Unfried. Welcome. Yes, my audience is serious. Look at them. Some of them don't even clap, they just scream. That's a scream.
I love it, I think.
So one day, for those of y'all, I'm gonna give y'all a little peek behind the scenes. Here's my little clapping applaud button there. You see it says clapping? And it's like one of the buttons that, remember those commercials where it had an easy button? Like easy, that was easy.
That was easy.
You know, remember those? I got the idea of saying, hey, you know what? I want to kind of butter this up a little bit, make it a little bit more fun and entertaining while you're getting education. I call it edutainment. So education/entertainment.
That's good.
Because there's so much stuff going on out here on social media and it seems like the stuff that's more provocative or more flamboyant or more drama filled or criticizing, condemning, and plain old cray-cray, that's the stuff that wins the day. And I said, I don't want to do that. There's too much of that. I want to do something that's going to be fun-filled, informative stuff that's designed to go to your head and your heart and not your hips. That's what we call the nuggets. These are nuggets that go. By the way, that's my laugh button. That's the laugh button.
Just to make that clear.
So anyway, in creating these buttons, I had to grab some people to be able to do those buttons. And so I had my family that gathered around me to do the clapping button. So when you hear all this, That's just making my family. And the one is, that's my baby boy Chance. And if you know him, he is just a hoot. But we have fun. And then I have the laugh button with me on it. And then the one you just heard just now, the female laugh, that actually is my wife. And so she's just giving up a bellyache of a laugh. But at the end of the day, guys, it's all for good fun. And so you can be informed as well, too. I know I am not unmindful of the events that had just unfolded a couple of days ago, where if you've been living under a rock, you may not know this, but if you haven't been living under a rock, you know that the late, great Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna and there were 7 other people on that helicopter that came down in Calabasas, and 9 of them lost their lives. And so that's always, I look at it as a sobering reality that this thing that I call the most valuable piece of currency this side of the universe, which is time, is finite. It's not infinite. It means that it comes to the end. In fact, the thing that gives life its value, and I know you can resonate with this, is actually the fact that we die. You see if you guys see that Miss Pac-Man game back there? Woo, woo, woo. That's a custom game that has 60 different games on it. And I use it as a kind of a healthy distraction. So when I'm like stumped, I just take myself completely away from what it is that I'm doing, because I find that it's like defrags my mind. I don't know. I'm going to get into that. I'm going to see what you do. And when I go over there and do that, if I'm playing Miss Pac-Man, I start out with, guess how many lives they give me. If you're old school, you know this. You get 3. And you can win more on this game. And there's times where I look down and I have 10 lives. And because I have 10, I become a little bit more reckless. Because I know if I die, guess what? I rejuvenate and I come back and I get another one. Here's the catch. If we talk about life, when we die, I don't know what your faith is, what your religion is, or if you even have one. I don't believe we come back in bodies. And that's my thing. I think we get one shot that we know of. And if you were going to be standing at a plate on a baseball diamond and that ball is coming down the horn and you get one chance to swing, I would hope that you try to knock it out of the park. And that's what I talk about in our lives here. And so I definitely want to acknowledge that, a great one has left. I posted something that says that when the great ones go, our tears will flow. And so, and you see, I don't know, Jan, but when I see someone at the top of their game, it doesn't matter what part of career or space that's in, when I see them doing something at the top of their game and being one of the best at whatever it is in their area of passion, it gives me the little butterflies. And it actually even kind of brings me to tears sometimes too when I see that happening. Like if you're watching, for example, like Americans Got Talent or something like that, and I see people on there who've been striving all their lives to try to get on a big platform, and then they hit the golden buzzer for them. Yeah. And I'm like, it just, I see it. This stage they overcame. I don't know. Am I crazy? Or?
No. People getting chances. That's love. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, I am a big fan of people winning. Mm-hmm. And I'm a big encourager of those who are losing. And I know she is too. And guys, she is, we are sitting next to greatness here. And she's very humble. She would never say, those words would never come out of her mouth when speaking about herself. Trust me, these are my words. But I remember years ago, not even too long ago, when you were talking about doing a book. Because tell them about what you used to do and then how you transitioned into this part. Guys, listen up. This is good stuff. Listen up.
Well, I was an educator for over 40 years. So I taught school, elementary students for the most part. I got into administration my last 6 years or so before I retired. And then in 2017, I retired. Never was the kind to worry that I wouldn't have enough to do. But the January after my June retirement, our church was actually having a prayer and fasting time. And what that is you give something up in order to devote more time to God. And, you know, what those things are that you give up makes you think, oh, I want that right now. But, you know, it's a good way to keep your focus. So getting ready for that with our church. And I just sensed, I don't hear voices from God, you know, like audible, but I sensed this really strong voice, if you will, is in my spirit that I was to fast coffee. Ooh. Any of you coffee drinkers, you know how. And so I actually literally argued with God for a day and didn't do it. And then the next morning I couldn't shake that feeling. So, okay, I don't know what's going on, but this is what's going to happen. And during that next 20 days, God laid on my heart this idea of writing a book about coffee and about people meeting over a cup of coffee and how he intervenes in their lives, and the commonality of the, you know, two people getting together and sharing like sorrows and joys is just incredible. So I began to write stories and had 30 and got it published. And thanks to good old Cedric here, he helped me along the way to, you know, figure out how to make that happen as far as the, you know, publishing end of it. And so here I am today.
Guys, I as I'm listening to you talk here, and a lot of people think this may have taken a lot of time in terms of years. But I don't know if you caught that, but she said she retired in 2017. And it's funny, I was just talking to my wife last night, pillow talk, and I was talking about repurposing her talents, because she's still in the real work world. And so she was like, what? And I was like, well, I'm using repurpose because I don't like using retirement, because it suggests that you're going to do nothing. And I like repurpose because you have a talent that you were exhibiting in that space, wherever it was that you called your job. But now when you leave it, it's like, no, I'm just retiring away from that. But now I'm going to repurpose what it is that is my talent into a space to be able to give to this hurting humanity in some way. Because the mind and the body is in sync with itself. And when you remove yourself away from a job space and you do nothing, your body is like, and your mind says, wait, oh, I guess, hey, guys, I guess we're dying. And so studies show that people start to die quicker if they're not doing something that's meaningful, that allows them to roll out of the bed, not just roll out of the bed, but to jump out of that bed, so to speak, because they have a purpose that they're still marching out in their lives. I remember there was a guy who died on the cross about 2,000 years ago who said his last words was, "It's finished." So I always like to say, if you're still here, even after retirement, and you're above ground, it's not finished.
That's true.
You still have stuff to do. So she said, I couldn't just sit on my hands. I'm going to do something. She put pen to paper. And guys, I'm going to pull out, what's your first one?
That was called Common Ground.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, what you were talking about just brought to mind one of the chapters in here, and it's called All Ground Up. Talks about how we need to repurpose our pain, not just our lives, but our pain and things that we go through. And sometimes we feel like those coffee grounds, useless.
It's funny because I labeled that one as repurpose your life, what you thought was useless. We can't make this up, y'all. We cannot make this up. I told her, I said, when you come over, bring your books. And I have each one of her books too. And so I've read chapters and stuff. And I said, let me pick out two that I think will be fitting for something that we. And I didn't tell her this. Was this scripted?
Not at all.
And you know me, y'all. This is never scripted. It always comes from the heart, because that's the best delivery, because that's what was meant to be spoken. We don't know. A lot of you, we don't know you. But a lot of you watching this on replay, or you're watching on different type of platforms. Somebody needs to hear what's going to come out of our hearts and our mouths into your ears. And so she does have a chapter in here in the Common Ground book there. Oh, matter of fact, let me put it on the screen here for you guys can see it. And this is only if you're on Facebook and on the other stuff, the other one trending. The only ones that can't really see this will be Instagram. Sorry. Y'all need to go find it on another medium if y'all want to see the shows and stuff. But this particular book, I'm going to show you a few people that she's like, yeah, look at old Patty. Get it, girl. Woo, woo, woo. I love that background setting too. And then over here,
that's my
your
mom.
mama.
She's 86 now. She was 85 when we took that picture.
Wow.
And she's one of my biggest supporters, and I love her so much.
Wow.
Funny story, just for our audience.
Yeah.
So she got her Bible study group at church. She lives in San Diego to go through this book and use it as a study.
Mm-hmm.
And so she would give me updates every Monday after their time together. And the first couple times I was a little taken back because my mom is very naive and sweet and a godly woman and hasn't said a cuss word that I know of, and maybe darn, in my whole life.
Darn.
So she would
Jigglewits.
In the subject area, it always said the BS update. And I would get such a kick out of that. And then she would go on and tell me all about the Bible study update and what the lady said. And every time it was the BS update. And I just get kicked. I've never told her. So
Does she not know? She's just that
I don't think she really knows that it has a double entendre there.
Oh my goodness.
That's a lot of fun with that. But
that's hilarious. She's 86 and your biggest fan.
86. She's great.
Guys, I am so, and like I said, I was just talking about how we didn't plan this. And that so happened to be that chapter that she talked about, All Ground Up, and how it talks about repurposing our talents into other things and what the world, or maybe even yourself, may deem as useless or rendered having no value. The one who created us all says, I have a way that we can repurpose this into this hurting humanity in some way to be able to give them a glimpse of what could be for themselves. I am a huge fan of people who create platforms for other people to be able to shine as well. And when this book here, I got a question that I'm going to be able to pose to her. And but I got to do this another time.
That was good stuff right there.
It's going to bless your heart the way she responds to it. It has to do with this book. But stick with us. All right, it's going to be on the other side of this dance break, y'all. We got to break it and break it up in half. So y'all get on with us. We're live at 12:05. Let's go. Let's go. All right. That's enough. My people get all crazy, guys. Welcome. If you're just joining us, I'm riding shotgun with the incomparable. How about that word?
Okay.
Incomparable. Inconceivable.
If you're ever feeling down, just spend 5 minutes with this guy.
Hey, I don't do down very well. It's funny, I tell people that kind of jokingly, I say, you know what I suck at? I suck at staying down, staying depressed, or staying low. I get there, but I suck at staying there. And that's a good thing. It's okay, by the way. It's like, because I have learned over the years that, we can make our environment what we want it to be. There's this thing called positive incantation. And then I'm gonna get to my question. Positive incantation that I learned from a guy named Tony Robbins. You may not be a fan of his or whatever the case is, although I am a fan of some of his content. And incantation, although he didn't create this, he made it popular. It's where the notion that if you're in a slump mentally or whatever the case is, make your body do something. Something that rejuvenates it or makes it move. And your brain has to get in sequence with it. It cannot be incongruent with what your body is doing. And so test this out, y'all. So if you feeling like you're in a slump or it's dark, get out of the bed, open the blinds, better yet, grab what I call my thermostat, because it sets the temperature of my mood. Put your earbuds on, go outside, put on your walking shoes, running shoes, whatever, and let the sun shine on your face and get to moving vibrantly and watch what happens, because our mind is gullible. It'll believe what this body is telling it. You just have to, positive incantation is to do stuff that puts it in that particular space. And so I've become really good at doing that. I used to suck at it and I'd be very good, but I understood that suck was halfway to success.
Oh, goodness.
You just got to keep going.
And Another good way to get your brain and your body going is to invite somebody to coffee.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's a great segue.
I was working on it.
Great segue. So here we got Jan Unfried. She's a local author here in Bakersfield, California. But you can buy her books all around the world. Thank God for shipping.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. We're talking about the first one. This first, I call it like birthing kids.
Definitely.
And the contractions are horrendous.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a question. Because in reading this, I got a couple of things that I like. I thought, well, it's all good. And I'm not just saying this, y'all. When I say it's all good, I'm not just saying that. Every story in here is one that's from an eclectic mix of different people, all different type of walks, from laymen to stay-at-home moms to therapists to you name it, are in this book, where she's taken no more than 4 to 6 pages. I think the longest one I saw was probably 6 pages or so. So it really is a toilet read, is what we call in this industry, where you can literally read it on the toilet. Is that too much information?
I would not feel, offended at all if I saw it in somebody's basket in their bathroom.
As long as you read it.
As long as you read it. That's exactly right.
Hey, Frederick Gutierrez, he says, hi, Cedric, you always have gold nuggets. Yes, and I always have golden people on here to share those nuggets as well, too. Hey, Theron Freeberg, I see you. You snuck in. Hey, who else we got here? Jim Williams. Hey, welcome. Clint Betts, good to see you. Antonio Chavez. Hey, my man. Charles Muhammad, good to see you. Darling, I can't say hi to all of y'all because then y'all sign off. He said, he's talking too much. Okay. But back at this common ground, this coffee thing, she had these conversations basically over coffee. And was extracting information from them. And I thought of this. I was like, wait, it's like chicken soup for the chicken. So the Mark Victor Hansen and the Jack Hanfield has a chicken soup for the soul. She has, I'm going to say, coffee for when you're cold. when you're cold in life. I'm sure she probably has some phrase that she'd actually do to it. But I said, yeah, chicken soup for the soul and coffee when you're cold. Because it has stuff here that are different stories that bears that out. And I've really been enjoying both of the actual books. And it's good for an actual study, too.
It is.
As you were just alluding to as well. So, question.
Okay.
And it's like saying, which one of your kids is the cutest?
Oh.
I know it's always tough.
I knew you were going to ask this.
Yes,
okay.
yes. So which story would you say resonates with you the most? Or maybe it resonates with the outer audience the most? Something that you think would be just very powerful for them to know a story.
Well, there's actually a series of 3 right in a row in this book that kind of one came out of the other. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that's really fun. I believe everybody has a story. And so it's just us tapping into that.
Yes.
And, having those opportunities. But it started off with, I knew about this guy named Larry, goes to our church. And when he was about 70, I think he had just recently repurposed himself, retired. He decided to go to his Starbucks every morning, the one that was close to his house. And he just sat there for the first few weeks and then noticed there was another gentleman there. And over time, they became acquainted. They were there every morning. So people that frequented that particular Starbucks got to know them by name. They would start to talk to people, find opportunities to pray with someone that was going through a tough time. And now there's a group of anywhere from 6 to, I joined them one time, it was really fun, but 6 to maybe 10 at the most that sit there every morning and talk. And one of the fun things about Larry's story is that there was a gentleman that came in there, actually a pastor from a different church, and they would pray and talk together, and he kind of had a chance to share with this guy who wasn't part of his congregation. So it was a good thing, to be able to unload some things on him. And he dubbed him the chaplain of St. Arbucks. You let that sink in for a minute.
That's what they dubbed
Larry.
Okay.
So he's the chaplain of St.
Arbucks. Okay.
So anyway, and then I did the next story about this really young gal that works with our teens, who just happened to kind of be adopted by Larry and his wife as their granddaughter. She came in from, out of town and was starting a new job, and they just helped her with everything. And so she started coming to his coffee clutch, bringing the average age down quite a bit. But that was fun. And so I got her story. And then on top of all of that, one of the stories that he shared I was able to interview and talk to one of the couples that was there, where the husband had gone through Teen Challenge. He was an alcoholic, and their marriage and family was just falling apart. And his testimony is so amazing. And that group prayed for him and supported her during her times of just being, you know, down in the depths of despair. And so now he's a part of that group, and it just makes me cry when I see them there, because just all happened over coffee. About people being obedient and willing to listen to each other's stories.
Wow.
So.
And just how easy that happens, where if you just make yourself readily accessible and available, then I'm going to say it this way. We talk about kindness, compassion, love, forgiveness, all these other things. Those things are inanimate objects. I'm going to call it that. Those can only be bared out through, watch this, people. It's easy to say, but difficult to display. And so when you're obedient and say, hey, I'm going to be in this space here, and you may not even know, you may not be able to connect the dot of why, but just know that I need to go and be obedient. And now watch what happens when you say yes, and you breathe and you step into it. Then you start to unpeel and reveal some things that are supposed to happen. There's a story in your second book, Solid Ground, that I think speaks to this so incredibly well. I'm going to show you that, guys, right here. Ooh, get out that glare. There we go. This is the second baby that she actually birthed. And what surprised me is she birthed both of these in under 2 years. And so she's been a writing fool. And so being able to put, because I know, because as an author myself, I know, I know what it takes in order to be able to put some stuff out there, and what investment of time that you have to do in order to be able to put this stuff in there. There's a story in the Solid Ground book, by the way, ground, if you haven't caught this yet, ground coffee. You know, that's her foundational thing that come from place as far as all these stories that actually happen. There's a story that I caught in that second book that I really think you're going to glean some value from it. And I'm going to bounce it to her as well, too, to get her opinion on it. And at the end of the day, you guys are going to really, really be blessed. We are riding shotgun. It's going to be on the other side of this break.
Somebody say it's time for a dance break.
It's time for a dance break. It's going to be on the other side of this dance break, guys. We're going to tease you a little bit. We are riding live here on 1205. Come on, dance with us. We got to get going. We got to get you moving, baby.
Right now.
Jesus, I'm embarrassing my children right now. So, what are those grandkids? How many? 9?
8.
8?
Yeah. 8.
And you are just the textbook version of a grandma and grandpa. I see you. Oh, you know what? Let me show you. For those of you guys who, by the way, who you just joined us, I'm riding shotgun with the incomparable Jen Unfried. She is a local author here in Bakersfield, California. But don't let that local thing fool you. You can get her books. I already tagged it in here. Go follow her. Go to janunfried.com because she followed instructions and she caught that name before somebody else did. And we're just talking about the love that she's been showing with the books that she's written. Here's one that's called Common Ground. If you've missed it up to this point, just wait till we're done and go back and press the replay button so you can catch all the other stuff. And we've already dropped some great nuggets. Yes.
Nuggets of a bomb.
Yes, we dropped some nuggets. We did. Okay, and this guy here, who is that?
That's my honey.
That's a honey.
Yeah.
I had a gal in here the other day, and she's black, and her husband's even blacker. And she says, that's my chocolate drop.
Aww.
And I said,
And notice what I'm doing.
oh, yes, exactly.
Right?
Yes, they're drinking that stuff called coffee. And so, good segue. For those of you who joined us, hey, Jim Neal, I see you. Hey, Andre Hayes. Hey, Mike Downham. Michael Mellon. Eugenia Jenkins. Guys, say hi or something. A thumbs up and hearts to let us know we're coming through loud and clear. Because sometimes I just be yakking on and on and on. And some of y'all may be like, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. I'm like, I don't know that unless y'all say something. So say something, hi, or whatever. For you trollers, go ahead and continue to troll. You ain't got to say nothing. As long as you chiming in and you seeing it, It's all good. So books. Book number 1 was birthed, which took some time. Book number 2 came out, Solid Ground, which the play is based on coffee, and using that as a platform to be able to capture some stories that can inspire, motivate, encourage, educate, transformate, all this other stuff that's out there. And I was flipping through and reading certain stories. Oh, by the way, it's like Lay's potato chip. You can't eat just one. So, and it's good. She's a good writer too. I've read some stuff where I'm like, I'd still applaud them because it's like you at least did something. But this is not one of those that I'm just, I'm just patronizing, so to speak, because they did it. No, this is one where I say, oh, she writes good too. And she's good at extracting the nice juices of the content and making it real nice little tight package of 4 to 5 to 6 pages that helps you to walk away with something that says, ooh, how can I apply that to my life? So the one story in here that I thought, it was one of a blind side type of thing, where when we was talking about earlier in the episode here today, where it was like, okay, sometimes you just have to breathe and step into what you believe is for you, and not understand that you're crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's, but just you need to go. And trust that what is needed will be revealed. CrossFit.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
I love that.
You love that.
I love Jenny.
There's a story, chapter 14 of Solid Ground talks about a gal who said yes to CrossFit, who came into CrossFit with some of her own anxiety struggles and stuff. And here's the catch. She was a mental health counselor or something like that. So you think they all got to figure it all out? No, they got some good strategies, but they still are human at the end of the day. And so she had some challenges with that, and she stepped into the CrossFit community, wanting to kind of get busy and physical and stuff like that. And some things happened. We're not going to give you all the details because read the dang book.
Yeah, we don't want to do a spoiler.
Exactly.
Right? You'd have to get a button that said spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yes, we don't want that, but we don't want to spoil it. However, we do want to kind of entice you to know that hey, if you get this book, it would be one of the best investments of your time. If you've never bought a book before, Bibles are free. You can get those. Buy this one of those books, and thank me later, because it's some good stuff in there that I know will speak to you. So CrossFit, give us the Cliff Notes version of that story. I know I could.
I know. Okay, so Jenny, she's like, one of those people that you bow down to as far as her physique and just being so in shape and eats well and does all that. But she had started this CrossFit journey a few years ago, and just felt like she was enjoying it, but had these fears when she'd go, like that I'm not going to be good enough, I can't do this. She even felt like if she did get good enough at it, that God was going to take it away from her because, everything good in her life has been taken away. And so she just knew that was going to happen. And she just kept searching. And I loved one of the things she said is that she had to think about what she was thinking about. And I love that because we allow our thoughts to just go crazy in our minds and defeat us before we've even had a chance to do anything or try anything. And so she began to think about what she was saying to herself and what she was listening to. And she just began to give all of those things over to God. And eventually, like we said, we're not going to tell you the rest of the story, but some amazing things have come out of that. And she's still, to this day, I just talked to her a few days ago, she's reaping the benefits and strength of being obedient and continuing to go forward and, let go of those fears.
It's interesting as I hear you talk, I know exactly who she's talking about because she's a good friend of mine as well too, her and her husband. And to watch them come into that CrossFit box and blow that thing up in a way that no one could have predicted, not even herself. And I talk about blind sides in life and uppercuts that you didn't see coming. But it still lends itself to saying, hey, just because you don't know, don't mean you shouldn't go. I tried to make it sticky for you. Just because you don't know, don't mean you shouldn't go. It's just, hey, if you feel that nudge, and maybe you're not even used to feeling the nudge, but you need to practice that and pray that becomes more signified in you where you can pick that up and say, hey, is that it? You know, and move on in there, knowing that you don't need to cross all the T's and dot all the I's, but make sure that you're going to go. And it's something she alluded to, that she stated, think about what you choose to think about. Y'all hear me talk about that all the time. In fact, you know, one of my favorite things that sits on my desk is this little guy right here. His name is Einstein. Mm-hmm. He's tapping his temple, reminding us all, hey, silly. People like to think that the final frontier of exploration is outer space, but no, it's the inner space of our own minds and our thoughts. In fact, I kind of teased you guys a little bit when I said so what is the best trick of the evil one? That's how I titled this. And the best trick of the evil one out there is actually you're distracting those who don't control their thoughts, who don't think about what they think about, who don't pay attention to what they're choosing to pay attention to, who don't focus on what they're choosing to focus on. Mm. Now, you get cut off in traffic, whoop, and then flipped off, and you didn't do nothing wrong, and they got a fish on their car. And so you're like, oh my. So you're just total mode where you're going after someone, or you're in the line at Winco and that person's too slow and you're in a hurry, and your negative side of you turns on. These are people who wake up in the morning but sleepwalk through their day. Am I saying those people going to hell? No, not saying that. I'm just saying,
thank goodness.
Thank goodness we all have been forgiven and we have some disparity out there in mercy. But here's what I am saying, is that we have an opportunity to guard our thoughts. And to do it better. Am I perfect at that? No. Is Jan perfect at it? Yeah, maybe.
No.
She said no.
There's a chapter in here about me not being perfect. That's for sure.
Yes. We don't want to give them all away. But yes, guys, it gives you the permission to be able to fall. But when you fall forward. And then when you stand up, you look back and you made a little progress.
Yeah.
Because failure is not to be avoided. Oh, here's one for you. Failure is to be managed.
I love it.
Because success in the absence of failure does not exist.
Yeah. These nuggets got me licking my fingers. Can I please get a few more, please?
That's good. Guys, so yes, you have full permission and unbridled permission to be able to say, hey, I'm going to fail. I'm going to fall short. I got some flaws, some hang-ups, some habits and hurts and stuff like that. We all do, because we're human. But here's the catch. Don't stay there. Wake up in the morning and actually not just make up your face and make up your hair, but make up your mind that, you know what, today I'm going to have an attitude of gratitude. How about that one? That was easy.
I like that one.
Yeah, so do you have like a little mantra or something that you do, a little daily routine or something that keeps you focused on something or keeps you busy?
Stay grounded, keep connected. Is my kind of mantra, you know. So staying grounded in God and His Word, but then keep connected with people. And it's not always about just the person that you know. I mean, I love calling my girlfriends and meeting them for lunch, but it's also being aware of that person in front of you in the line at Walmart who's having a bad day, and you can just give them that smile or that encouragement, or, you know, let that mom know that, hey, we've all been there with our kids screaming in the grocery store before, instead of thumbing our noses up at them. And, you know, a couple of the stories in Solid Ground came out of just that kind of thing, meeting someone on a plane, meeting a girl at an RV park in South Dakota, you know, and just kind of connecting with them and being able to end up writing their story.
Wow.
So, you know, my Taylor story from South Dakota, she lives in actually in Raleigh. So she was there on a summer kind of mission thing with a group of college students. And we still have that connection via, you know, the waves, and we can talk to each other. And my brother actually wrote an email to me the other day, said, I just read Taylor's story and it was just what I needed at the right time, at the right place. So I let her know, and she was all excited about that. So, you know, I just stay connected, keep grounded, you know.
Are you writing still more
Yes. Well, I haven't really I have all my ideas, kind of percolating.
Yeah.
So yeah, the third book will be Higher Ground.
Got
Gotta keep that thing going.
Keep the ground.
Yep. They're all coffee shop chronicles. So that's where,
the ground comes from. I totally get it. That's a great brand as far as the ground. And I like the novelty of it as well, too. If you're just joining us, guys, I'm riding shotgun with none other than the incomparable Jan Unfried. And she would never coin that phrase, by the way. That's my thing. But I want to, if I had a hat on, guys, I'd take it off and to her, because she is not one of those who just say it, but she displays it. And she's giving people a platform, if you will, to be able to share their stories. Because I say we all have a story. We all have a testimony to give. It's one of the 5 T's, as I always talk about, to give. Everybody has a testimony. The tragedy is most people take that testimony to the grave with them, never to having been told to anyone, let alone the masses. And so that what happened to them, or to you, I'm going to speak specific, to you, was not for you. Yeah, it happened to you, but it wasn't for you. It was for you to get through so you could pop out on the other side and have a story to be to share with somebody else, or somebody else's that will be able to catch a glimpse of what could be possible for themselves as well, too. And those who didn't do it, or don't have the wherewithal, or even feel like they don't have the time, whatever that may be, she's created a ground, a platform where they can have their little stories out there. And as I alluded to before, chicken soup for the soul, eat your heart out. We have coffee for when it's cold in life. You can come out there and you can pick this book up and turn some pages. And guys, I don't do a whole lot of plugging of a lot of stuff on this thing, because I don't want to be coined as that guy. But boy, when I see some stuff that's nice, that says that it's worth your investment, and these cost what?
10, 11.
10, 11.
I want it to be affordable. I want you to be able to buy it. And
that's
read
right. And she just wanted to put it in your hands there to be able to get it. And guys, I'm telling you, you're going to enjoy it or your money back. From me.
I was going to say, woo.
From me. If you don't like it, guys, let me know, because I know I very enjoyed it and continue to enjoy it, because I haven't read all the stories. But every one that I've read so far has been something that's been like, dang, that's good. Mm-hmm. And I'm the guy, I'm sorry, I'm a little weird. I don't like reading from front to back. I jump around. I say, whoosh. And it's almost like, you think it's weird, whatever, call me weird. I didn't call it worse, huh? I'll flip through and I'm like, okay, what's God gonna let me land on? Mm-hmm. I'm a random dude and be like, ooh, that was a God thing. Because I was like, close your eyes. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, we got chapter 14, and grab it. And so then I'm able to read that and see what comes away from it. Hey, Tony Higgins. Hey, Anthony West. Hey, Diane BB. You all the way from Ketchikan, Alaska. I see you. Anthony West and all of you guys. If you are just now joining us, I'm riding shotgun with Jan Unfried. She's an author that I hate to say local, but she's local to me because that insinuates that or infers that you can only get it local. No. You can get it anywhere you at.
Amazon.com.
Amazon.com.
It's on Kindle now.
On Kindle now too. Ooh, for you people who don't like turning pages,
yeah.
You can go with the Kindle.
You go.
Yes. So you hear that music, that means you know what?
It's about time for a dance break.
Yes, it is. So we're going to come back. I got a question for her, and I know it's going to bless your heart and maybe surprise some of y'all who don't really know her. Besides her, too. Let's go. We are live. Hey, that's right. Y'all on Instagram, y'all can't see this. Just go with it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. audience, I love them. If I had enough money, I'd take them on the road with me.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in the studio with nobody else in here, so I just okay, if y'all think it's real. Guys, we ride shotgun. Jan Unfried, author to, oh my goodness, she has 2 babies, and both of her babies are cute. And it's under a theme of ground coffee. Solid ground and common ground, for those of you who can see these. And you can get these on janunfried.com. You can also get them on Amazon, Kindle. You can get it from her personally too if you're local. But don't try to show up at her house, then that's just straight stalking. You don't want that.
A little creepy.
That's a little creepy. A little creepy. We don't want to, we'll have you arrested.
No, if you want my book, I will get you one.
Yes, she will. And guys, these are something that's super special. Thanks for joining us. I teased you on the other side of that break. And I want to definitely make sure I follow through with this. As far as this question I told you when I asked you, it's going to bless your heart. But first, I want to see that. I saw this. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, for those of y'all on Facebook and all these other
January
mediums.
2nd.
Was January 2nd of 18?
No, 2020.
What? That was just now?
It just aired about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, for those of y'all who are watching this, you're watching this right now. This is Jan Unfried on Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
How'd you do?
I won $6,000 of money and prizes. So yeah.
Wow. So you can actually win money.
You can actually
real
win
money. Okay, guys, I am okay. I know her. Now I'm convinced that people do actually they actually win money on there.
They do. Well, I haven't received it yet, so.
Oh, you haven't received it.
I haven't received it. I'll let you know when
it all happens.
When it's actually in my hands.
What was the toughest one that you solved up there on the board?
Well, I don't know if it was the toughest, but it was the funniest. So they have this speed round, and there was food and drink was the category. And so I buzzed in because I thought I knew it, and I said mushrooms and sardines.
Okay.
It was mushrooms and sausages. So Pat Sajak quickly responds. He goes, "Remind me not to come to your house for dinner." Everybody laughed, and then they solved it. The rest, the other 2. So that set of 3. There's always kind of a theme within a theme. They were pizza toppings, and so I got the pineapple chunks and ham, and I got the or whatever it was, and then I got the last one, black olives and pepperoni. I can't remember, something like that. But anyway, that first one, I was just just what came out, because there's these letters are coming out, and you want to ring in, and I thought I knew it. It fit.
But it just went the right. It was sausages for sardines. Okay, yeah, those just don't go together. It's like cereal and steak.
Maybe, yeah. Anyway, sardines I don't think goes with anything.
I'm not a sardine guy at all. Guys, hey, if you're just joining us, Tony Higgins, Debbie Monday. Hey, welcome y'all. I'm riding shotgun with Jan Unfried. She's a local author here, but you can get her book anywhere in the world, just about. If you just have access to one of these things, which if you're watching us right now, the answer is you do. So go out there, scoop up one of these bad boys. I have them both. And I've been turning pages like tater chips, saying, hey, it can't get just one. And Solid Ground and Common Ground both played off of coffee grounds. If you understand that, that's the brand. And I think it's a great one. I think it's very unique and eye-catchy too. And there's not many people that don't drink coffee. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a coffee drinker. However, there's a lot of people out there who do it, but you don't have to be a coffee drinker to extract something from this book. It's an eclectic mix of different people's stories that was basically told over coffee, that she was able to capture and subdue it and then make it readily accessible to you to be able to see from the lenses of someone else that I can guarantee there's something that's going to resonate with you in that actual book that if you get those today. So I teased you on the other side of that break. I said there was a question I was going to ask Jan that I know the answer of it. It was going to actually be able to be a blessing to you guys. And so I'm just going to throw it out there to her. And it's a very simple one. It doesn't take a rocket science. And she has the answer already in her heart. You know how I know? I can smell it.
Oh, did I forget my deodorant?
I'm kidding. So, why do you do it?
Why do I write? Well, I would say one of the reasons is because it's always been a desire of my heart. I can look back and I have all kinds of, things in my computer that I saved in files. And, I I want to write a book someday. I just now happen to have the, the method and the platform on which to do it. But I really think that the key reason, the thing that keeps me going when it's in those contraction parts of the birthing process,
yes.
like I just want this thing to get done. What keeps me going is that I am encouraged by the stories. I love sitting down with these people and hearing their stories. And a lot of it's hard. It's hard stuff. This one especially, the Solid Ground book, it takes people from where they've had life, the rug pulled right out from under them, but they land on solid ground. So again, you have that double meaning of the grounds, the solid ground of Christ. And it's you kind of have to know where people have come from sometimes to understand the redemption of God and what he can do and the miracles that happen. So, there's stories in there, people who have lost loved ones. There's, I did a story about a lady who was in the campfire up in paradise.
Oh, wow.
They lost everything, and just kind of how that God has continued to minister to them and to their community.
Even by the Pastor Mark, you did one by the guy, it's Mark who lost 4 precious things, people, and even his dog. That had to do with dealing with death, and from a pastor's perspective.
Yes.
And how we're gonna tell y'all, you got to read that story. How
it was amazing.
How he unexpectedly pivoted from that.
There's one statement he makes in there that comes to me all the time, and it's that God did not just say, I'm giving you comfort for the reason of just being comfort, but he says, do not be afraid. And it's a command.
Yes.
And so when we're obeying God, we have to think about that. And it's like, whoa. So that's kind of, it has shaken my world.
Wow.
My thought process. But yeah, the people, their stories need to get out there. And I just love that this is an avenue for that to happen.
I remember someone was asking me, and I get this question all the time. They said, Cedric, what's your favorite book? And I'm like, okay, well, it goes without saying, Bible and Scripture is one. And I'll say, it's my book. And people are like, oh, you just say, I'm like, no, I'm not just saying that. And I know if I pitched this to Jan, she would probably say the same thing. It's because that book, although he was writing it for someone else, it really blesses you to go and read those stories. In fact, I'll go through my book, one of my books. I think my shortest book is 368 pages. I'll go through that bad boy and I'll read stuff and I'll be like, wow, I wrote that. And I have to remind myself that when given the opportunity to be available, to be spoken to and then spoken through, and capturing those moments in life to where you don't even look at stuff like most people do, because you're so into that flow, you can extract something from it. So the stories that she's listening to be able to craft them, and they're told very, very well with the exact right amount of detail and not fluff, to be able to get the message across in I can't overstate this, y'all, in 4 to 6 pages, because people will fluff their book up just to feel 150 pages so it looked like it's a worthy book. This is not that case. This is what's needed to be said, how it needed to be said, in the small window of time where it needed to be said. And I can't overstate it. So if you go to janunfried.com, looking up for Common Ground or Solid Ground as well too. She's working on one called Higher Ground that's coming out. Also at Amazon and their outlets and such. You can even get it on Kindle as well. This is, again, I don't do a lot of plugging of anything, but when I see something that I know is a huge blessing to other people, I'm like, oh my goodness, for the price of 2 cups of coffee, depending on where you go, you can get one of these books, guys. And it's been blessing me with those stories. And I know it's been a blessing to her. That's why I asked her, what's the 25th letter of the alphabet, which was Y. Why do you do it? And I knew she'd come out with something that was like, hey, this is something that not only is feeding other people and giving other people the platform to feed other people with their stories, but also it's been probably cathartic and therapeutic for her too.
Yep. Yeah. The Israelites, how we can look at their story and say, why didn't they learn their lesson the first time? You know, they kept failing and forgetting, and then I think, you know what, we're just like that. And that's why I need these. I need these as reminders to myself and to others that God is still at work, and it's a good place to go.
Guys, I don't think there's a more fitting way to end this than with that statement, is that, hey, if you thought that our Creator is dead, or he's silent, you need to read this book and see that you're not alone, that this is a minefield we're traversing. And in that minefield, we have people that are called mentors. You can be one, and you can be led by one as well, too. Preferably someone, hopefully, that has a few missing limbs or appendages. That's fruit on the tree to show that they've actually been there before, done that, got the t-shirt and socks to match, even though it may be Argyle socks for some of them. But
I like Argyle socks.
yeah, I do too. This is just me. It's not just me. It's Jan too.
Guess what you're getting for Christmas?
Guys, this has been fun for me. I'm going to say thank you to my guest. I'm looking at that clock. It's at 1:04. We're coming right up at the hour. But just like with every flow and every fun thing, those fun things have to come to an end. But I'm going to say, hey, before we get out, go grab the books. One of the books, Common Ground or Solid Ground. It doesn't matter. Just get off the ground and go get it, because it's out there for you. And thank you so much for coming out. This was cool, guys. And smile too. Can melt an iceberg. How bright it is. All right, guys. Hey, press your share button. It's been fun. I got somebody taking us out with a song called "Wake Up." I don't know if you know this was old school, but he's telling you to wake up. What race? No matter what race, creed, or color, everybody, we need each other. Wake up, everybody! All right, guys, take us out. Press your share button. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. Hit that button right there. Subscribe. And we'll be able to see you guys on the other side, okay? We're out there with the book. This is Mr. NickandBaby.com saying, hey, we'll only get one shot at this life thing, my friends. Let's not make it good. Let's make it absolutely great. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye now.